Do you ever feel like you need to put on a mask to appear confident, to appear in control of the situation, to appear alpha, for lack of a better term? If you've ever seen the television program The Boys, you're probably familiar with the character of Homelander. He's a very powerful superhero from this series, and this is a character who projects a surface level image of being the ultimate alpha male. But in reality, he's actually deeply, deeply insecure. And we've all met somebody who tries to put on this air of confidence and superiority, but deep down, they're hiding their own insecurities. And this fake it till you make it approach, it might seem like a good idea, but ultimately it can lead to more harm than good. If you're unfamiliar with The Boys, it's a very graphic and darkly funny TV series that was adapted from the comic series of the same name, written by Garth Ennis, who wrote a bunch of other books you might be familiar with, Preacher, among others. And it's set in a universe where superheroes are not only real, they're also corporate assets. They're basically all fucked up. Homelander, he is portrayed by Anthony Starr, and he's arguably the series' most compelling character. Everybody loves the Homelander. He's this golden boy with a flawless public image, but deep down, he is a very troubled individual. He was created and raised in a laboratory by scientists. As a young child, he was basically strapped to an atomic bomb in case he went berserk so they could blow him up. He was raised without any parental figure and has no moral compass. And as such, he's severely emotionally stunted and insecure. His need for admiration, his absolute requirement for validation from other people, this is a major theme throughout the entire series. And what this does, ultimately, it lets him get manipulated by people who understand this weakness. And one of the most telling instances showcasing this need for admiration is a scene where he intentionally allows a plane to crash. It's been hijacked by terrorists. He uses laser eyes to kill the hijackers, but in the process, he also fries out the entire control apparatus of the airplane. So instead of saving who he can, he makes an executive decision to just bail and let the plane crash, killing everybody on board, to ensure that nobody will tell the story of how he fucked up. And this in turn leads to further tragedies, showcasing the destructive potential of his insecurity. Another example of Homelander's public persona contrasting with his private insecurities can be seen in the second season of the show, particularly in his relationship with the character Stormfront. So on the surface, he is this charismatic leader of the superhero group, but in private, he is susceptible to Stormfront's manipulations because she understands and plays on his need for validation. She praises his ability. She tells him things like, he's the real hero, he's the future of the species, blah, blah, blah. And Homelander is visibly flattered by her compliments, and he becomes more and more receptive to her questionable ideas revolving around racial purity and things of that nature. Another example is in Homelander's intense rivalry with other superheroes, particularly with the newcomer Starlight. And despite his very obvious superiority in terms of his power set, he's threatened by her increasing popularity in the polls, and he fears she might start to overshadow him. So instead of embracing her as an ally, he undermines her and asserts dominance over her in a variety of vile ways, which further reveal his deeply rooted insecurities. Now, for me, as somebody who read the comic, perhaps the best example of this insecurity comes from a scene where he confronts James Stillwell in his office. Now, this isn't included in the TV show, and in fact, the character of James Stillwell, the boss of the corporation, it's made to a different character in the show, but basically it's the character portrayed by Giancarlo Esposito in the show. And Stillwell is the only person in the entire series that Homelander actually fears. But the interesting thing about Stillwell is he doesn't have any powers at all. He's just a normal human being. And throughout the comic, it's shown that when Homelander talks to people, he can actually read people's heart rates. And most people that he speaks to, their heart rate spikes through the roof when they talk to him because they're fucking terrified of him. So anyway, at one point, after Homelander starts a coup against the United States, basically invading the White House, killing the president, all this crazy stuff, he shows up floating in the air outside the window of Stillwell's high-rise office building, covered in blood. And he's clearly there with the intention to terrorize and probably kill him. But Stillwell, he just kind of sighs, and he's like, these windows don't open all the way. You're gonna have to smash your way in, I guess. Please try to do it quietly. I've got a headache. Like, he's completely unfazed. So then, once Homelander busts in through the window, he starts to threaten him. But to his shock and surprise, Stillwell is completely unmoved. His heart rate does not even rise a single digit. And Homelander says, I know I've met a superhuman because you're about to get torn up and you don't even care. But the truth is, Stillwell, at that point in the book, he's basically just done with this chode. So he starts fucking roasting him. He's like, you're boring, you're a child, you haven't done anything that any other person, given your powers, couldn't have done. And so Homelander continues to rant at him to try to get some sort of reaction out of him. And Stillwell's just like, dude, just kill me now. And at that point, Homelander decides not to kill him, basically saying, oh, I'm pathetic, am I? Just you watch what I'm gonna do. Like, he's completely enraged at his inability to get a reaction from the boss. And Stillwell's like, oh, I will watch you. And then Homelander like flies out. He smashes through another window, which is like peak Homelander, basically. He smashes in through a window, and then rather go out through the hole he made, he just smashes through the one next to it. Like, so petty. So after he's gone, Stillwell actually completes his sentence. He says, or I would watch you if I thought you do anything even remotely interesting. And then he just goes back to work. So despite his near godlike powers, Homelander's desperate need for love and acceptance, that's his ultimate Achilles heel. It's a sign of his deep-rooted insecurities as opposed to true confidence. He's looking for validation not through his actions, but simply for his existence, which makes him dangerously unstable and volatile. Like, in a twisted way, it sort of humanizes him. But at the same time, it makes him this terrifying godlike figure because those insecurities are coupled with basically nuclear bomb level power. So by looking at these examples from both the series and the comic, we see that Homelander's outward projection of confidence and power, it's just a facade. It's a mask that's hiding very, very deep insecurities. His need for validation, his rivalry with the other heroes, his obsession with public approval, it all points to a lack of real confidence. True confidence is a deeply ingrained trait that's rooted in self-awareness, self-acceptance, and a strong sense of self-worth. It's a strong sense of being comfortable in your own skin. It's a confidence in your own abilities, a confidence in your own qualities, and confidence in your own ability to make good judgments. The classic book by Nathaniel Branden, The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, outlines all of these practices in detail that you can use to generate more self-esteem in your life, but we can touch on them a bit here. Self-awareness is the cornerstone of true confidence, and it requires you to have a clear-eyed understanding of yourself. That includes your strengths, your weaknesses, your goals, your purpose, your desires, your fears, etc. Self-aware people have a very clear perception of their personality, and this helps them navigate the world with a grounded sense of who they are. Self-acceptance, which is the next pillar of true confidence, involves acknowledging and accepting all aspects of yourself, including your flaws, including things that might not even be good right now that you're trying to change. And look, this doesn't mean that you stop striving for improvement, but rather it means you don't let your shortcomings dictate your self-esteem. You accept them. You're like, look, I'm good where I'm at right now. I'm at a certain point in my development. Right now, I want to be better. Maybe I wish that I'd worked harder before this, but it's fine. I'm fine where I am right now. Struggling with self-doubt and having that temptation to put on that mask of confidence, it's a very, very common experience. Why? We live in a society that often values outward displays of superficial success and displays of strength. And this can lead to the belief that you've always got to put forth this image of confidence and certainty, even if you're feeling unsure. And when you're wearing this mask of faux confidence, ultimately you're denying your true feelings or you're denying your true experiences. And this can lead to a disconnect between this public persona that you're putting out and your actual private self. And ultimately this can cause you to feel isolated, disconnected, and inauthentic. These masks, they hide our true selves. And when you're constantly presenting that mask to the world, you might start to lose touch with who you actually are. You start to forget your genuine emotions, your needs, your desires. Remember, strong connections, strong relationships are built on a foundation of authenticity and trust. And this can be very difficult to establish when you're hiding behind that facade. People connect with people, not with a mask. So when you hide your true self, you're denying other people the opportunity to actually know you, to understand you, and actually connect with you. And beyond that, keeping up that facade, it can just, quite frankly, it can just be exhausting. I know, I used to do it back in the day when I first started out. It was all about fake it till you make it. That was the conventional wisdom. And at the end of the night, I would just feel exhausted from putting this character on. It requires a lot of energy to be constantly monitoring, controlling how we come across to other people that we interact with, trying to micromanage their perceptions of us. And this can lead to stress, anxiety, emotional, and even physical exhaustion. Now, self-worth is the final building block of real confidence. And this is about valuing yourself, irrespective of external validation. It means you got to get to a point where you value your own opinion of yourself more highly than the opinion of others. And that means understanding your own inherent value as an individual and not basing your self-worth on the judgment of other people. True confidence, therefore, is an internal sense of self-assuredness, that you can handle whatever's going to come your way. And that comes from understanding, accepting, and valuing yourself. It's this kind of quiet, unassuming quality that doesn't require constant validation. Contrastingly, Homelander very often, most of the time in fact, projects that big puffed up alpha male persona, which can be a mask for insecurity rather than a display of real confidence. And that persona, that Homelander persona, it's built on displays of dominance, control, and superiority, very often serving as a mask to his deep-seated inadequacies. His confidence is largely based on him having superhuman powers and his status as the leader of the superhero group. And that's a type of confidence that needs constant feeding, often in the form of admiration, fear, or control. The difference between Homelander's alpha male persona and true confidence is that the former is conditional, isn't it? It's a situational confidence. It's fragile. It's built on this, it's a castle made of sand because it's completely dependent on external factors. While true confidence, it's steady, it's resilient, and it comes from within. So just to wrap up here, here's how to cultivate actual confidence in your life. Number one, have self-awareness. Reflect from time to time on your strengths, your weaknesses. What do you value? What characteristics do you want to embody every day when you're at your best, even when you don't feel like it? This reflection will give you a better understanding of who you actually are. You'll feel more grounded when you're interacting with people. Number two, self-acceptance. Embrace your authentic self, including your flaws and imperfections wherever you're at right now. And number three, cultivate self-worth by taking personal responsibility for your life. Focus on self-improvement, set goals, celebrate your accomplishments. And last but not least, communicate authentically. There's a power in authenticity. What does that actually mean though? Well, it means you're being open, you're being vulnerable, you're being honest in your relationships with other people. You let people see who you are. You say things that make you laugh. You don't try to make other people laugh. Meet many people until you find the ones that you actually have chemistry with. Don't try to make everybody like you. And hey, you might have to talk to 10 people at the party before you can find that one person who you actually have chemistry with. But when you do find that person, the attraction, the interest, that connection is going to be 10 times stronger than if you're going around trying to pander to them. Remember, the key to becoming truly confident lies in embracing your authentic self and cultivating a strong sense of self-worth. Now, if some of the things I said here resonate with you, you want to take the next step in your journey towards charisma, towards real confidence, you can check out my 8-week mentoring program. This is a program that offers personal coaching with me twice a week, accountability in the form of a group, and support to help you discover that authentic self and develop that confidence that you've always wanted. You can hit the link in the description if you want to learn more. Apply today. This has been Jeffy, and I'll see you next time.
Gave me a huge awareness of my voice and how to speak to people.
It teaches you how to do it, the technicalities behind it. And beyond that, you learn about storytelling and humor.
I want to know how the fuck to project myself. Jeff has actually given a language to something that I think everyone in the game has been trying to achieve for so long.